on many an occasion, part of your job people may not realize is you have to deal with obsessed fans. And that is, I've seen you on occasion in action with that. And you're almost like a Zen master in that you never approach it with force, but in a kind of a gentle and thoughtful way, even though you may be talking to somebody who's ranting and raving. And explain to us for a moment, walk us through a scenario where you have to deal with that person, somebody who's a threat.
This is the least favorite part of Act 2 of my life. If I'm representing a client, a famous client, and they start receiving letters from a fan, watch you on television every week, love you, send me an autograph picture. Fifth letter. I've wrote you 4 times asking for my autograph picture and never got it. 8th time. What kind of a whore do you think you are? I told you that I loved you and I watch you all the time, and I know that when you're on television, I'm sitting in my bedroom and I know you're talking just to me. And if I don't hear from you, I'm going to find you. 5 letters down. So I have your home address. And maybe I'm wrong about you. And I know you're going to show up at this movie premiere in the city that I live in. I know the date of the movie premiere, I know the location of the theater, and I'm going to be there. And I'm going to see you. We're destined to be together. We're destined to be married. And in fact, we're destined to fly to Saturn together that night. Don't run from me. I warn you. Okay, so these various gradations of when a public figure is misperceived by a delusional or disturbed fan, and that person comes to me. And by the way, I've done this work not just for celebrities, but for men and women going through divorces, anonymous people, the boyfriend who won't stop calling, the girlfriend who is stalking, the person who is posting awful things on the internet, all the usual stuff. I think I've done more than 100 of those. And one of my roles is to meet with the person who is obsessed with the public figure and try to be the interventionist, the exorcist, if you will, to try and reach that part of the person where the obsession exists and explain it just isn't real. Just isn't real. I work with law enforcement, psychiatrists, handwriting analysts, profile consultants, private detectives, and others to protect the target, that's the public figure, from the profile, that's the disturbed person who is making the threats. And we work together. Among the hundreds and hundreds of hate letters that I've read, the many phone calls, recorded phone calls that I've listened to, and these meetings with disturbed or delusional people, My work is to get them to shift their attention from the public figure to a different spot or a different place. Now, Los Angeles has a marvelous anti-stalking division. Really good police officers, detectives, who really work these cases. They're overworked, of course.
Sure.
And in smaller cities around the country, it's even more difficult. And more anonymous men and women are the victims of these crimes. I do the best I can. It's exhausting work. I have great compassion for the people who are on the receiving end of this stuff. I mean, I'm not going to load up the web with horror stories about, dead pets left in their mailbox and things of that nature. I'm not going to go there. But for whatever it's worth on Channel B, in a Zen sense, I also acknowledge the fact that the profile is trapped in a delusional web deserving first of compassion, understanding, and an attempt to make contact before you drop the dime. Because, and by the way, if they do 2 or 3 years in LA County Jail, or if they do 2 or 3 years in prison for stalking activity, they're coming out.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be better.
Yeah.
They're going to be worse. And for those of you who are well known and famous and receive letters asking for pictures and autographs, be cautious about writing, "Dear Phil, I love you," signed so-and-so. Those things are sometimes misperceived.
Well, does that technique work most of the time? Are you able to shift their attention from the obsession on that person to some other outlet?
I've never lost anyone.
Excellent.
I've been through it, I've done it. I've looked in the eyes of people who were so manic, disturbed, angry, confused, lost. I don't want to do that no more.